That's just how I roll. So let's bring Dr. Sadek on. Now we're with Dr. Sadek, my longtime doctor. I've been with Dr. Sadek. I've been with you for
Close to 20 years.
20 years. Am I your oldest client?
Well, you're not the oldest by age, but by the time with my patients, yes. Time-wise, you're one of the oldest.
Yes, yes. My goal is to be. I want to be the longest reigning client of yours. I don't know why I'm calling it client, patient of yours. So,
The goal is to outlive your doctor. How's that?
all right. Well, I'll try to do that, but I believe the second coming is coming soon. So, I think we'll survive this world. Talking about Christmas coming up, anyways. But Dr. Sadek, uh, we're talking about stress and anxiety on this show, and since you're a doctor, what can you tell us about stress and anxiety and how that affects health?
Well, in general, stress and anxiety is around us on a daily basis. We go through episodes of stress. We get anxious about certain things, and it could be minor, it could be major. Many times, a lot of the minor stresses accumulate to the point where it becomes major, and that's when the body would start, getting to be in trouble. Basically, physiologically and biochemically, there are things changing in the body when we get exposed to negative factors, not exercising, doing all the wrong things between smoking or drinking more than recommended. Uh, in general, going through financial stresses, not having enough time to actually exercise, to relax and basically de-stress from daily activities, daily work schedule, being on time, finishing task on time. All together, I call them the negative factors in life that if you do not pay attention to it and reduce it and find ways to reduce it, uh, you're going to end up in trouble. And it's not only anxiety that will set in, depression, anxiety, occasionally, well, actually, many times would be insomnia, where you won't be able to fall asleep or you're waking up multiple times throughout the night. Um, Sometimes doing the wrong things like binging on Netflix. That can cause some problems when you're just basically watching 10, 15, 20 episodes and that by itself, although it may sound like a good, stressful events that you're going through because you're happy, but it's still diverting you away from what you need to do on a regular basis. The body does much better when it's consistent, when you basically teach it to do the same thing every day on time. Not many of us can do that. Even a type A personality have their own type of stresses. But Going back to the physiology of the stress and effects on our bodies, the science is there. Many people have actually done certain exercises, routines that help reduce some, the stress, increase your immune system, where you're not getting sick anymore, and knowing what to drink, when to drink, knowing what to eat, when to eat, how to eat. Now the big thing with the intermittent fasting, I think we talked about this on a couple of occasions when you came in,
Right.
which many cultures have actually adapted this, and even religions, as you may know, the Islamic religion has always done fasting, including also the Christianity, fasting from certain food. Judaism also do fasting. It has, basically powerful effects on the body where it would really increase your immune system. It does reduce your stress. It does actually allow you to be on time with things. As you may know, sometimes you may go on with certain, or actually not eating certain food, and then the body start craving it, including salt, including certain food that the body wants it, but you may not like it, and suddenly you just grabbing certain things, and you're like, what, why am I eating this? Um, for example, pica kids. Pica kids are basically kids who are iron deficient, and then at 2 years of age or maybe younger, they're grabbing something from the ground. They're eating dirt. They're eating rocks. I had a patient that did this all the time, to the point right now he has rocks in his intestines embedded, and we check him for basically colon cancer on a regular basis, because we want to make sure that the effect of the rocks are not going to change the cellular structure, which in turn can cause cancer. um, so I hope that was a good introduction on the effect of the stress on the body. I mean, I can talk for hours and days about this.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question about, we're obviously in COVID crisis right now. How come we're not getting any information from our government about the importance of dealing with stress and anxiety, how we eat, how to sleep? We just say stay home, stay safe, wait for the vaccine kind of thing. I mean, what are your thoughts on how we're being instructed how to live our lives as far as health goes?
Unfortunately, the issue with the vaccine, it became political, and politicians are not worried about how things needs to be done towards COVID-19. As you may know, there are 40% of the population the COVID-19 will not affect us at all. Now, why is that? There's a big research now going on the T cell of the immune system, that this T cell has specific function that actually fights the virus. It doesn't allow it to make us sick, or at least increase in the numbers. There are many things that a person can do in order to reduce the chance of getting sick. And you've seen it. In one household, the wife gets sick with COVID and gets seriously ill, sometimes dies from it, and the husband gets it but recovers very fast. Why? Well, different bodies, different ways of combating the virus. Maybe someone was smoking for many, many years, and now the lungs are really in a bad shape, where the infection of the COVID virus, as you may know, it hits one of the most important cells in the lungs, which is the pneumocyte. Uh, so you're going to see that where you would see confusion on what's going on. And maybe that's why some people did not want to wear the mask, because they were exposed, they were really close to it, and they didn't get sick. But it doesn't mean that there's no possibility in the future they can get sick. We really don't know a whole lot, which can be causing confusion even with politicians on taking different, routes on how to deal with the virus. The virus is still mysterious. Recently, actually yesterday, I read about there was a European study that found that the virus now has a different strain that may cause us some problems if we're talking about immunization. Now, I am going to take the vaccine. I am signed up at 8:30 with one of the Maricopa County sites with Banner Health this coming Wednesday. I've been asked by my patients, what do you think about the vaccine? This is my answer. I'm going to take it. I will let you know. So, and I make sure that I may list my side effects, if there are going to be any side effects, on Facebook, to tell people, tell my patients, say, look, this is what's going on with the vaccine. I think it's going to be good. We should follow the science. We should not listen to politicians. We should listen to our, medical community, the doctors, the researchers, most importantly. And it's amazing that we have gotten this vaccine out, because typically it takes 5 years to produce a good, effective vaccine. For in 1 year, this is really fast track. So whoever pushed this, we should give them credit. This is amazing that we can get a vaccine in this short period of time.
Well, it's because we had a non-politician pushing it. So, I mean, whatever you
Cor-
say about Donald
correct.
Trump, he has a million flaws, and I get why people don't like him. But when it goes to business and he pushed something to get through, you know, that's something we should emulate in the future. So, uh, with our new presidency and administration. Things like this need to get pushed through, and politics should be part of it.
True.
So,
True.
um,
It's sad that he didn't get the credit because it was only what two weeks after the election was done that we start hearing about the vaccine coming out. While the push was from him and other country leaders
yeah,
that pushed for it. Yeah, you have to give credit where credit is deserved.
yeah. I just hope that vaccine works out and everything goes back to normal as we get a handle on this. But I think it's also a awakening call um, that we need to pay attention to our health so we're not in this situation again. If you're going to compromise your health through smoking and bad habits of eating, and if McDonald's still grows as a company, the next time we get hit, it's on you. You know, we need to be prepared for this. We can't shut down everything because majority of the public is not healthy, and we need to pay attention to that because there's some populations, um, that some countries that are not having a problem, and a lot of that has to do with the, the size of them. They're healthy, they're skinny, it's a different population. I just read it was where was it? Vietnam. I think they'll like have zero COVID deaths or something like that. I'm not sure. I shouldn't even say that. YouTube's gonna shut me
No,
down.
there are countries have done extremely well. No, but keep in mind some of the African countries. Again, you follow the science. The reason there are some people think that the reason a lot of the African countries people did not really get affected with the COVID because they do take the chloroquine pill to help them fight against malaria, and that actually boosts their immune system. Also, other countries they do get immunized against TB, particularly the Southeast Asia, the Middle East. But a lot of these countries in the big cities, that's where they get hit the most. The thought process with that is in the big cities where there's a lot of factories, a lot of pollution, people
Yeah,
are getting damage in their lungs without knowing. They're not smokers, and so metropolitan areas where their pollution is high, people may be injured in their lungs without knowing, and those when they get the virus infection are basically getting sicker. And you can see actually on the map, if you look at the entire Earth globe, the industrial countries above the equator, with a lot of the big cities, those are the cities that got hit the most. And we think that maybe pollution is also playing a big part.
yeah. I definitely can play a part, but I think with big cities too, they tend to be, the ones that are just high pace, working the crazy amount of hours. They're eating out all the time. Um,
Correct.
uh, New York City never stops. I mean those the average work rate there is something ridiculous. Like they're doing 18-hour day work days because they're just competing with everybody. Um, versus the ones on the out of the major cities, they're more enjoying life, enjoying family, and not going crazy. But I think a lot of those factors obviously contribute. But to be safe, I mean, we can control what we can control, which is ourselves. So if we do the things that you mentioned, if we were consistent with how we ate, how we slept, if we had consistency in our life with our health, that would help. And I think there needs to be a bigger push. I think physical education needs to be a priority of teaching in our 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 schooling in America, throughout the world. We need to make health a priority so we have a fighting chance. At least we can knock out that. If we're more healthy, we can then knock that out and focus on pollution and some other things. But there's just so many factors that are killing people that it's getting crazy. And
I totally agree, and I think it does lie in our hands. 80 to 90% of what we do to our bodies and how we basically can fight things and protect ourselves is basically going to make the big difference. Whether you take the vaccine or not, I think you still have to do what needs to be done to give you a good, healthy body where you can live long. We're only here once. We
Yep.
don't know where we're gonna go after this. Some people believe in heaven, some people don't. But while we're here, why don't we make the best of it by being healthy? If you have a stomach ache for 2 weeks, you will hate your life. You will basically say, take the pain away. I don't care about my money. I don't care about what's going on with my life. I don't care about my work. Take the pain away. So when disease hits, we become desperate on getting rid of it. Well, before we get the disease, let's do things to prevent it. Like you said, exercising, eating healthy, sleeping enough hours, not eating after 7 or 8 p.m. And that's big for us in the Western society. Is we work, 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 work. We come home and then we eat dinner. And what do? We sit down, watch TV, and God forbid if you grab 2 scoops of ice cream at 10, 11 o'clock after all the commercials with food, uh, then you go to sleep.
Yep.
Well, what's going to happen to all that sugar? It's going to go in the fat cell. It's going to make you fatter. It's going to make you lazier, and then you're going to get up in the morning. You may be swollen with all the salt and the sugar that you ate. Now you weigh 2 or 3 pounds extra because of the fluid retention, and that's just one of the issues that is causing major problems with us. And you and I, we've talked about this during every visit. It's just how do you get a person to do the right thing? Training, bombarding yourself with doing the same thing every day, and stopping by the gym rather than passing by it, or doing stuff at home, or go hiking. Arizona, the Phoenix area, this is the best time to go hiking. It's the most beautiful time that you can go and spend time with your family outside rather than being inside looking at monitors.
Yeah. It for me, it's hard to do. I went 100 days of just eating clean, just real food, rice, veggie, beans, and I felt amazing. My swelling was extremely low. I lost a lot of weight, even though I don't have much weight to lose right now. But I was crazy skinny, and I felt amazing. And then as soon as I went off, and I'm off right now, I'm trying to get back, and it's hard to get back once you get off that routine. Um, but last thing I want to talk to you about, we've been talking about shock therapy as kind of a joke on the show, shocking children on the sidelines or on the playing field. Um, what do you know about shock therapy and how that kind of changes your uh, your brain a little bit? What do you know about shock therapy?
Okay, now are you talking about shock therapy with brain shock therapy with like the ECT treatment, or
So
shock therapy with cold exposure or temperature extremes?
shoot, I don't know. We can go any direction with it. So the shock therapy we were talking about on the show earlier was um, shocking kids when they make a mistake to get them to stop making those mistakes as a joke, but it seems like it might work. I'm not sure. So like right when they make a mistake, that we'd shock we put a band around their waist, and then we'd shock them when they make a mistake. What?
Well, if you can get away with it and be able to do it without getting in trouble, um, you know, there's always negative reinforcement and positive reinforcement. So this would fall under the negative reinforcement. Basically, you're punishing a living thing, specifically humans, and it can be done with animals too. Actually, it was done on dogs in many researches. So uh, again, if we are in a world where this is allowed and you're able to do something to the kid, it may work. There is an internal process that could change, the biochemistry at that moment, at that time, that would set a permanent memory in the actual child, as you may know. Now, keep in mind, you want to make sure in the future they'd end up with PTSD because they're gonna remember dad shocking them and say like, "Oh man, my dad used to do this to me. Yeah, I did the right thing. I learned." but I can never forget about what he, did to me. He or she, actually, the mom can
Yeah.
do the same thing too. No, I mean, there are cultures who punish their kids. Uh, I think we've gotten too soft with our kids. We don't do anything because we don't want anybody else to say anything bad about our way of, trying to put them in the right place, or to tell them not to do certain things. I would say the most important thing is to divert their attention and make sure that you spend time with them, and not allow them to basically go out on their own, whether they play video games for hours or they go out and come back late at night. You have to be involved as a parent. You have to be engaging with them, specifically, with sports, with activities. Um, Again, shocking the kids. May may be something that you and I may not do well afterwards.
No, the shock therapy is a joke. It's it's something that we're just trying to make the association to parents screaming at kids right when they make a mistake or whatever. And what that actually does is forces them to actually make the same mistake again, because when they get screamed at when they make a mistake, they remember it because adrenaline flushes throughout their body, and it just gets
Yep.
them to repeat the same mistake. But parents don't realize that. But I want to get shock collars around parents to zap them, go to the dog store and get some shock collars and shock the parents and shut them up. But they're hard to shut up. They have no self control, kind of like eating habits. So, anyways,
Yeah.
Doctor.
Well, I think we have to also, shock ourselves first,
Yeah.
meaning that you have to be a good example, and you have to, show the kids the right things. You cannot be doing the wrong thing. For example, you cannot be smoking in front of your kids, and then when your kids pick up the cigarettes and say, "Hey, you can't smoke. What are you doing?"
Right.
No, you have to be the example for your kids. It's the environment that you develop for your kids. That's how, they're going to absorb it. There's so much. You don't think that they will, but they will remember. I remember things, personally, my dad used to hit me on my neck for punishment, just like a big slap on the neck. Hey, don't do this. Well, he did it so many times. Actually, I started having neck pain, and I was about maybe 8 or 9 years of age. Mom took me to the doctor, and it ended up to be where I was getting steroid shots in my neck to relieve the pain. Well, guess what? Dad stopped doing it. Why did he stop doing it? He didn't want to pay for the doctor's visits. And so I'm like, okay, that since that time, my dad never laid hands on me. It was a lesson to him. Say, look, this is gonna cost you if you're gonna do this. Not only that, now other people know about it, and so he stopped hitting me on my neck. And again, back, where I come from Lebanon, physical punishment is a routine thing. It's not a right thing to do. It was the wrong thing to do, and I think we need to learn a lot more on how we do things as far as towards our kids, by just not just physically punishing them, but teaching them and showing them the right ways.
Yeah. We have a verbal abuse problem in this country, but a lot of problems. But anyways, Dr. Sadek, I have to let you go. I appreciate you coming on,
Good, good.
and
Thank you.
your wealth of information, and we'd love to have you on again and talk more about.
Anytime.
Uh,
Anytime. You just tell me the subject. As long as it has to do with medical, I would love to.
all right, appreciate it. Thank you so much. That was
You're
Dr.
welcome.
Sadek. Well, am I on? Did it transition out? I'm on. I'm tough with transitions. Well, that's our show, and I want to special thanks to IT Ryan, Jet and Jack for the 1v1 battles. Dakota almost helped, but we had glitches with her. Special thanks to Sasha Hunter and Dr. Sadek for coming on. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope to have you all back next week as we try to improve the show. That'll be our next live show, as far as I know. Or you can catch me on my daily podcast, which isn't live, Monday through Friday, where I can continue to give advice on youth soccer development for parents and coaches, and comedic way. You can find me on iHeartRadio, Google Play, iTunes, or wherever podcasts are found, or go to coachcameron.com for direct access for my content. Thank you for joining. See you next week.